everyone. So till now we have discussed assignment operator, arithmetic operator, relational operators and logical operators. In this session I am going to start modify operator. Modify operator. Sir, as the name signifies, it used to modify the value of a variable. It used to update the modify the value of a variable. Sir, is it a binary operator or is it a unary operator? Sir, it is a unary operator. That means it requires only one operand. Only one operand. Okay. First thing. Sir, within modify operator, there are two categories. That means you can say modify operator can be increment operator or it can be a decrement operator. Okay. Sir, modify operator, it can be increment or it can be decrement. Sir, what does that mean, increment? What does that mean? Sir, this increment operator used to increase the value of a variable by 1. Sir, what is then decrement? This decrement variable used to decrease the value of a variable by 1. Okay, we will discuss it later on. Don't worry about that. Sir, again, if I talk about this increment operator, then again it is of two types. Sir, pre-increment and post-increment. Pre-increment, post-increment. Sir, similarly, decrement is of two types. Either it is pre-decrement or it is post-decrement. Okay. Okay. Sir, how a pre-decrement looks like? Plus plus, then some variable. Pre-increment is like this. Plus plus and some variable. Okay. Sir, post-increment, increment plus sign. Post-increment, how it looks like? Sir, variable plus plus. Similarly, how does pre-decrement? See, what is the meaning of pre? Pre, before the variable, but it is not the exact meaning what is mean by pre. I will discuss everything in detail. Pre-decrement, minus of variable. And what about post-decrement? It is nothing but variable minus. This is how it looks like. Although things are not that much easy, but as of now, in the beginning phase, you can understand this like this. Sir, modify operator used to modify the value of a variable. Increment, decrement, this will increase the value of a variable by 1. This will decrease the value of a variable by 1. Again, we have pre-increment and post-increment. Sir, if you are saying that increment increase the value of a variable by 1, then what is the difference between them? And what is the difference between them? So let's try to understand the scenario. Sir, what is the difference between pre-increment and post-increment? We need to understand it. Sir, if I say A is equal to 5, B is equal to plus A, printf %d, comma A. This is one code. Surely we have hash include stdio.h. Hash include stdio.h. This is one code. And another code. Hash include stdio.h void main. Sir, we have int A is equal to 5, B, but this time what I am doing is and let me print the value of B again. Sir, in this code, this is pre-increment, this is post-increment. Okay, sir, how things will work out? Try to understand. Sir, from first line, in memory, two variables are created, first with name A, second with name B. And what is the value that goes inside A is 5. Inside B, we have garbage value. That's why I'm not showing it here. Okay. Sir, how equal to statement work? Equal to statement says the value from right hand side goes inside B. Sir, what is the meaning of plus plus A? Sir, is it same as A is equal to A plus 1? Sir, if it is so, then what is the meaning of plus plus A and A plus plus? Try to understand. Sir, what does pre-increment says? Pre-increment says, see, this is an expression, and within this expression, we are using plus plus A. So, what does pre-increment say? Pre-increment says that first increment the value, and then use. Why I am writing use? Within the expression, where to use? Within the expression, use the incremented value. This is about pre-increment. If within an expression there is a pre-increment value, okay, then what is the meaning? Sir, its meaning is first increment the value. That means, sir, pre-increment is applied on operand A. That means, sir, first what will we do? Firstly, we will increment the value of A. That means, first, how it works? Sir, firstly, this 5 becomes 6. See, increment, modify operator, increase the value of a variable by 1. Okay. Then, what is second point? Use the incremented value. That means, sir, within this expression, what value of A will be used? Sir, 6 will be used. That means, what is the value that goes inside B? Sir, the value that goes inside B is 6. Again. Try to understand it again. Sir. Whenever you have an expression containing a pre-increment, then what standard says? Standard says that consider this expression in two parts or a collection of two statements. Sir, we can write an equivalent code for this statement as first increase the value and then see plus work is done, the work is done, and then use the incremented value. Try to understand. In first step, what we did, because it is a pre, what do you mean by pre? Firstly, you will increase the value and then you will use that incremented value. Sir, what is the value of A? Is it the incremented value? Yes, sir, it is incremented value. That means what happened? Sir, this statement is nothing but collection of these two statements. So, from first statement, what will happen? A is equal to A plus 1. That means, sir, A plus 1, 5 plus 1, that is 6, goes inside A. So, we are updating the value of A. Okay, done. No, sir, it is not done. Sir, second statement is assign this updated value to B. We are using the incremented value of A. That means we are saying copy this here. So, what is the value that gets printed? Sir, if you are printing A, then what will be printed? 6. Okay. Sir, if I am printing B, what is the output? The output is 6. On the other hand, let's talk about this code. I am removing the redundant part. Sir, from first line, what will happen? From first line, same part is there. Sir, inside memory, two variables are created, A, B. The value that goes inside A is 5 and B as a garbage value, but don't worry about that garbage value. Okay. Sir, now we have post increment variable plus. We have post increment. Sir, what does post increment say? Post increment says, what is the meaning of post? After. That means it says first use. That means firstly you will use the variable inside that expression, okay, and then you will increase the value. That means we are saying something like this. See, this is an expression. This expression contains a post increment. This expression contains a post increment of variable A. Now what we are saying, first use the variable as it is. That means we are saying something like this. Firstly, use the variable as it is. Okay, and then increase the value by 1. So it's the order that define pre and post. Try to understand. So if this is first statement and this is second statement, let's see what is going on. Sir, till now this is the memory diagram. We are saying assign the value inside A to B. That means we are saying copy this from here to here. Okay. And then increase the value of A by 1. That means what is happening? Sir, then we are going to increase the value of A. Okay. So what is the output of this code? Sir, what is the value that goes inside B? Is 5. But on the other hand, what was the scenario here? Sir, in here the scenario was, what is the value that goes inside B? 6. That means incremented value. But what is the value here? Sir, 5. Try to understand. So, sir, whether it is pre-increment or post-increment, the value of the variable is surely going to modify. By how much? By 1. See, even if I try to print A, the value of A is 6. But, sir, if that variable or if that pre-increment or post-increment occurs in an expression, then things are different. Pre-increment says, first increase the value, first modify the value, and then use that modified value, use that incremented value inside the whole expression. But what does post-increment says? First use the value inside the expression, and after using it, then you are supposed to increment the value. So it is the order. Okay. My personal suggestion is, whenever you see post-increment or pre-increment, always try to divide it into two parts. Always write two-step solution and then slowly solve it. Most of the people used to mistake here in case of pre-increment as well as in case of post-increment. So, sir, that was the task of pre-increment and post-increment. Let me give you some in-depth idea again. Sir, let us suppose we have int a is equal to 5 plus a, printf %d comma a, first void main int a is equal to 5 a plus printf a. Just pause the video and think about the answer. Sir, here we are saying post increment and here we are saying pre increment. But is the value a or is the variable a is used inside any expression? No, sir. We have only increment of a, whether it is pre-increment or post-increment. Try to understand. Sir, are we assigning this or are we using this post-increment and pre-increment inside any expression? No, sir. That means what will happen? Sir, in this case, The value of A is 5. From post increment, it goes to 6. Of course, sir. And from pre-increment, again the same thing happen. From 5, it will goes to 6. So what is the value, sir? The value that they printed is 6 and 6. Try to understand. Try to understand this. Please try to understand this concept. Although many faculties, even some interviewer used to ask many questions about pre-increment, post-increment and everything. Actually, the concept is related to sequence point. The concept is related to sequence point. Sir, what are sequence points? Sequence point is something like semicolon. And what does the standard says? What does the standard says? Sir, every language has some standard, just like ISO standards, every language has some standard. The standard tells what is valid, what is invalid, what is allowed, what is not allowed, what are different rules, how things will work out. So as per standard, the standard says the value of a variable can be modified at most once between two sequence points. So see, why I am telling you, because you will see a lot of questions, not in GATE. In GATE, no ambiguous question is asked. Okay. Sir, what does that mean? Let us suppose I have something like this. Int A is equal to 2 and comma B. And some people used to ask you some questions like this: plus plus A, plus 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 A, plus 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 A. And they will ask you what is the value of B. Then two things you can do. Either you must know the behavior of every compiler. Sir, how pre-increment, post-increment and such expressions are evaluated in Turbo C, in GCC, in code blocks. That is a tedious task. Everything become messy. You can't do that because it depends from compiler to compiler. See. If language standard does not say anything, for example, I have already told you that standard don't say anything about the size of a variable, the size of a data type, and it depends upon compiler. That is why if language does not say anything about it, for example, what does the standard say? Try to understand. Sir, this is one sequence point and this is second sequence point. Between these two sequence point, how many times I am trying to modify the value of A? 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. That means we are trying to update, we are trying to modify the value of A more than 1 time. So what should be the output? Sir, as per standard, this is not valid. But what should you answer? Sir, whenever standard don't say anything about a particular expression or something, then the result depends upon how compiler evaluates it. That is, the result is always compiler dependent. Always used to answer this, sir, compiler dependent. See, many student used to argue a lot. Sir, in Turbo C, the answer is 12. In GCC, the answer is 14. In some other compiler, the answer is 15. Why? Because everything is, in this case, is compiler dependent. So in order to justify yourself, you must know the concept behind it. Sir, if you want to answer such question, if you can't predict the value, always start from here. Sir, C programming language has some standards. A standard tells us what is wrong, what is right, what is valid, what is invalid, and what could be done. And as per C standard, between two sequence point, it is not valid to modify the value of a variable more than 1 time. Here, we are trying to modify the value more than 1 time. So the result depends totally upon compiler, how compiler works. Is that okay? So the output of these kind of question is compiler dependent. I hope things must be clear. Okay, sir. Okay. So that's how pre-increment and post-increment used to work. Okay. That means, sir, in the similar manner, a decrement operator used to work. Sir, decrement operator, what does it do? Sir, what does it do? Sir, whether it is a minus minus or minus minus a, the basic meaning is a is equal to a minus 1. That means it is surely going to decrease the value of the variable by 1. It is going to decrease the value of a variable by 1. Sir, what is the difference? The same difference between pre-increment and post-increment, the same is the difference between pre-decrement and post-decrement. That means, sir, what does minus minus of a tells? Sir, if we have a pre-decrement inside an expression, why I am saying inside an expression? Because, sir, try to understand it more clearly, because the student used to confused a lot about this. Sir, this is one code. Actually, these concepts are related to sequence point again. Sir, what does sequence point tell? Sequence point. Again, try to understand this. Sir, what does post increment says? Post increment says increment is done after the sequence point. That means increment is done after this sequence point, but before this printf. That means when the control comes to printf, already a is decremented by 1. Okay. What does pre-decrement say? Sir, it says that the decrement is done before this sequence point. That means it is done before this. That means again, for printf, the value is decreased value. So both of them will give the same result as 4 and 4. You can understand it like this way. Or, sir, then how could I see the difference between them? Okay, let me write a code. Void main int a is equal to 5 comma b minus minus a printf percentage d a comma b. Okay, this is the first code, and void main int a is equal to 5 comma b is equal to a minus minus printf percentage d comma a comma b. Sir, it is a post decrement. So, sir, let me divide it into two parts. What does post says? First, use the value. Of the variable, and after using it, where? After using it inside the expression, then decrement the value. That means first use the value. See, is it an expression? Yes, it is an expression. It is an assignment expression. So first use the value. That means use a as it is. First statement says this, and then decrement. Then second statement says a is equal to a minus 1. So think of a code like this. Int a is equal to 5 comma b. Then first use the value and then decrease the value, and rest we have printf percentage d comma a comma b. So what is the output? Sir, we have, sir, b is equal to a. That means we are saying copy the value of a inside b. Okay, done. Then decrease the value of a by 1. So can I say a become 4? Of course, sir. Done. And what are the values that gets printed? 4 and 5. Okay. That was about here. What is the answer? 4, 5. Okay. Sir, let us talk about here. If it is pre, what is the meaning of pre? What is the meaning of pre? First, decrease the value. First, decrease or decrement it. And then use the decremented value. Use the decremented value. What does that mean, sir? First decrement, that means we are saying A is equal to A minus 1 and then use the decremented value. That means A is updated, then use B is equal to A. So, let me convert this code. Sir, the code is int A is equal to 5, comma B. First decrease the value and then use it and then try to print %d, comma A, comma B. Sir, how things are working? How things are working? Sir, we have A, we have B, 5. Okay. A is equal to A minus 1. This will decrease it to 4. And then we are assigning in this statement, we are assigning, that means 4 goes here. So what are the values? 4 and 4. But here, what are the values? 4 and 5. Try to understand the concept. Sir, can we understand it? Can we understand it in the other way? Yes, of course. What does it say? What does this say? What does this say? Sequence point. The value is decreased before a sequence point. That means, sir, value is decreased first and then assigned. Okay. What does post says? Sir, post says the value is decreased after this. That means first this expression is evaluated, then the value is decreased by 1. I hope this fundamental is good. This fundamental is good, used to solve every question based upon pre-increment and post-increment. Pre-decrement, post-increment. I hope you get to know how these all are working together. This is a very good concept. You need to understand it in more clear way. People used to get a lot of confusion in this. They used to answer questions like this. They used to answer question like this. And they used to read a lot. Many times they start with Turbo C. Okay, the output is 12. GCC, the output is 14. Code blocks, the output is 15. But they didn't get any logic. The logic is, sir, sequence point. The logic is, what does the standard says? How things are working? What is called as side effect? So, whenever in some interview, if someone going to ask you and you are not sure that in which compiler the output is what, then always give the most satisfactory answer. Actually, this is the correct answer. That, sir, I don't know the answer because I used to work in one particular compiler. But I know what does the standard says. I know what is sequence point. The standard says that between two sequence points, you cannot modify the value of a variable more than once. But here, we are trying to modify the value of a variable more than once. So, the output is solely depend upon what compiler says. That is the output of this code is compiler dependent. That is, output may vary from compiler to compiler. On some compiler, the output could be different. On other compiler, the output could be different. So, that's all for this video. Bye-bye. Take care.